Well, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Peter Frank, and I'll be leading our discussion today. We'll be talking about Church360 Unite and how to simplify your church's online communication using Church360 Unite, our church website builder from Concordia Technology Solutions. Let me get my contact information up on the screen. There we go. Hopefully you're seeing that now. There. So I am Senior Manager of Concordia Technology Solutions. I've been with our group for about 5 years now. And if you've been to any of our webinars before, you may have heard me present. I've presented a number of these. And each one is a little bit different, so if you've attended before, I'm sure you'll learn something new today. You can reach me at peter.frank@cph.org, or you can call me on my office phone, that 314-268-1408 number, although I'm often not in my office like I am right now, so you may have to leave a message. Otherwise, you can talk to our team at 800-325-2399. They'll find some way to track me down for you as well. So let's get into a few housekeeping items before we go too far. First off, there will be about 45 minutes for a presentation today, and I'll leave 15 minutes at the end for question and answers. Now, yesterday I pushed the limits, got up to about 50. That was for a different presentation, but I tend to go a little long. So it'll be based on the questions. After you think of questions, please go ahead and ask them throughout. You can put them in the questions box within the GoToWebinar side panel there that you've got, where a few of you have already posted that you can hear me okay, so thank you for that. Go ahead and post the questions in there as you're thinking about it, and I'll get to them at the end, or I may answer them as we go if it just happens to be part of my outline. There will be a recording of this, and it will be shared after the fact. So if you have to step away for a second, you are welcome to do that. Come back, rewatch it. And for those of you who both attended and registered, obviously if you're listening to me right now, you're one of those people, you'll get a recording shared later on today in email. So I'll send the link to our YouTube channel once it's posted. So if you're not familiar with us, Concordia Technology Solutions is the church administration division of Concordia Publishing House. Concordia Publishing House has been around for going on 148 years, which is just incredible. We've got such a rich history of serving the church here at the Publishing House. Now, we have been serving the church with software since 1984, which is also kind of crazy because churches didn't start regularly using computers until the 90s, but we wanted to be there to help you out. And so Church360 Unite is kind of the next generation of software for churches. We've moved on from DOS-based products. We've got a great Windows-based product called Shepherd Staff that thousands of churches are using. We've built Unite to work with our different products, both Shepherd Staff and Church360 members. So on that note, Church360 Unite is our church website builder, and it is part of the Church360 suite of products. Now, there are 3 products in that suite. Church360 Members helps you manage your membership, attendance, and offerings, and then Church360 Ledger allows you to manage your chart of accounts. I may mention those today, but we're not going to get into them in great detail. We're going to focus on Church360 Unite. Now, if you want to learn more about those, you can visit our website, 360members.com, and you can go to our YouTube channel, view recordings of webinars on the members webinar I led yesterday, or the Ledger one that Ann and Johnson will be leading on Thursday. You can sign up for that still. But that's enough about those two. So, Church360 Unite is our church website builder. It allows you to build a website, blog, member hub, file sharing tool, calendar, and even mass emails. And we call it Unite because it unites these 6 different online functions, online tools, together into one product. And it makes them work very well together. And we're going to be looking at each of those different sections today as we build out an online communication plan. So, first off, before we get into the specifics, a few overall things. Church360 Unite is mobile ready. It's accessible anywhere, so you can build your website to be viewed on a cell phone, on a tablet, on a desktop. You can't do all the editing on a mobile device, but most people don't really want to update their website on a phone, so it'll work great on a tablet or on your laptop. Because it is a website hosting service, we provide all of that as part of your package. It's secure hosting, there's backups that we do on a nightly basis, and so we take care of all that so you don't have to worry about it. And then we also provide free updates, support, and training like this today. We've got a number of webinars that will be coming up this year, a whole series of which will start in March that'll go in deeper into the individual features. So keep an eye on that. Otherwise, you can always talk to our support team, and they'll be happy to help you out. So as we go into this webinar, as I do with every webinar, I'm making a few assumptions about you. First off, I'm assuming you're at least familiar with church websites. Now, there's a lot of ideas and philosophies behind what makes a good church website. We've got plenty of training resources on that available that I can point you to. That's not what today's about. Today is about taking kind of the next step, using Church360 Unite, but really focusing on an overall strategy for a campaign. So I'm assuming you're familiar with church websites. I'm also assuming you're fairly new to Church360 Unite. This is an overview webinar, so it won't go real deep into any of the key areas. So the concepts that we're talking about, a whole strategy, is a little bit more complex, but the features that we'll be using in Unite, those are pretty straightforward. Lastly, I'm assuming you're extremely busy, so if this is not valuable to you, if you find that you're just not gaining anything, that's fine. Please don't stay for my sake. I want this to be helpful to you. What you're doing in the church is far more important than anything I'm going to talk about today. Church360 Unite should support what you're doing. It should not replace anything. It may replace some outdated communication methods, but it certainly won't replace what you do in sharing the gospel. That's always more important. So please keep that in mind, because I certainly do. Our outline for today, we're going to launch a communication campaign. And in doing so, we're going to explore all areas of the software. We're going to explore, we're not going to go real in depth in any one area, but we're going to see all the different features that are in Church360 Unite. Then we'll get into some questions and answers at the end. Throughout this all, I do want you to be asking yourself, how can I use Church360 Unite to simplify my online communication? So ask yourself that question, what are you doing right now? Then at the end say, how can Unite help? And if it helps, I'd love to talk to you more about it. If not, that's okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so my example story for today, it's a continuation of what I talked yesterday. I know a number of you have, were tuned in yesterday. Talking about Mallory Richards, who is a visitor to Light of Christ Lutheran Church. Now, she is looking for a new church. She is not a new Christian. She's looking for a church where she can get a little bit more involved. So a little bit of background on her. She's a 32-year-old office manager who prefers online communication. We say that just because this is kind of our target person and who I hope you're thinking about as you're building up your online communication. Gone are the days where a bulletin board or a bulletin is enough to communicate with people. So Mallory is looking for a church where she can become actively involved in Bible study. But the problem is, and I'm sure many of you can relate, she's quite busy, and so she can't always attend Bible study. But she does want to stay up to date. She wants to feel part of the group. So today we are going to be launching an online communication campaign for Reading Romans with Luther. It's a new book that's out from Concordia Publishing House, so this is truly a shameless plug. But it fits perfectly for what we're talking about today. And we've got some nice artwork to go along with it. So that's why I'm using that. But that will be the study at Light of Christ Lutheran Church that we're talking about. So here are the things we're going to do. We are going to create a discussion group. We're going to invite users to that discussion group. We're going to set up the study events on the calendar so that you can see it on the Master Church calendar. We're going to create a landing page. What that is a page that has the details that you send people to. We're going to show how you can engage site visitors, draw them into the landing page. And one of the ways you do that is through creating a blog post. And lastly, we're going to email all of the Bible study students to show off the mass email feature of this. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I think I had that slide on there twice, so I do apologize for that. So we're going to switch over here. Oops. And I want to go close that down. Here we go. So you should now be seeing Light of Christ Lutheran Church. It's a nice screen site. It's set up for the Gospel of Mark. We're going to change that to start. So I have signed in. I'm an administrator on this site. Up at the top you can see, and maybe I should zoom in a tad, make it a bit more readable. Hopefully that works for you. Up at the top, you'll see our administrative bar, and there's a number of things. Settings was where we'll start, just to give you kind of a broad overview. This is where you can put your church information in. This is where you can set permissions for calendars. We'll look at that in more detail later on. This is where you can set up your domain. So if you want lightofchristbakersville.com or .org, you can do that there. And there's a little bit more details in there. Our support team can help you with that. You can't just type it in and claim it. It's a little bit more complex than that. We provide an integration with Google Analytics and then also integrations with Shepherd Staff. And so if you are a Shepherd Staff user, you can connect with this. If you're using Church360 members, it automatically connects. You don't have to do anything to integrate it. But we're going to start off our discussion today on themes. So you saw that nice green design. We're going to shift that a little bit just to show how to use the themes feature. So under themes, you can see there's a number of different options that you can switch. And within each option, we have what we call presets, which are predefined colors and font choices. It just gives you a really large number of choices for your website. So all you have to do is click on one of these and it'll display. So you can see each one has about 10, some have more. We just did a big redo and added a bunch of them just to give everyone more options. But we're going to stick with the material theme today. But I do want to go to this kind of grayish blue color. So I'm just going to hit apply. And it gives me a message saying my theme has been changed. So I can X out of this to see it. There we go. Now, those colors don't really work too much. So we're going to be changing that in a little while. But let's go to customize first. So this is where the presets gets their differentiating colors, differentiating fonts. It also gives you a chance to upload a banner, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to go ahead and click upload. And you can see here I'm in my folder. I've got a white logo that I want to apply to this. So Light of Christ. I have a black one that's in there, but that's not going to work for what my purpose are. So there we go. We add Light of Christ and it gives a nice little preview. So I'll save my changes, and then it'll take me here, and there we go. Light of Christ Lutheran Church. Looks pretty good. Let me go back into themes. I'll show a few other things. So I can customize the different colors if I want. I can change the font. I'm a big fan of the Roboto font, so I'm going to leave that there. Styles is right above that. This allows you to pick what your site looks like within the context of the site. So each preset has some predefined styles, but you can always add your own. So you see here, this one is from my training webinar on styles. It's quite different. It's got a very different style. If we wanted to go in and change the section header, right now it's under lobster. We can go in and go to Roboto again, and the style, we'll make this a heavy style, and then we'll change this to black, and then oops, font size is okay, but we are going to remove the border just because I don't think that works as well. Or maybe we'll do a border, but we'll keep it as black and do a solid line. Maybe we'll go down to 1. There we go. That looks a little bit cleaner, so we'll save that. I'll show you later on where we can look at that. But you can create as many different styles as you need. And so, like here, if you want to do something that's blue text, create a style for blue text and then apply that whenever you want. And that way, when you want to go change your style, you can just change it from this one location here, and it'll change it everywhere you've used that style on your website. So this is taking some of the core concepts of web design with CSS and making it a little bit more user-friendly here where you can control it. It also allows you to dictate what your site looks like as the administrator so that volunteers who can log in can only make it look so different. You don't want somebody creating a page that looks clashing in colors and font choices from your standard site. So this allows you to keep your branding appropriate. All right, so we'll go ahead and I'll show you 2 other things real quick. Under Advanced, you can add custom code. So if you know how to do that with some scripts or other things, you don't have to use this. This is only giving people who know what they're doing an option. And we kind of keep it hidden so people who don't know what they're doing aren't bothered by it. And if you really want to get complex, you can go into Edit, where you can clone this theme and we give you full access to the code so you can make some major modifications if you want to. Again, that's for our advanced users. Only people who know what they're doing should go in there. And our support team can help with that a little bit, but we find that most of the questions around that are more complex. They are not web designers. They are there to support you using the product, using the different things that are already listed. So that's my spiel on themes. We're going to move on and go into our details a little bit more. So we've set up the site. We've talked about how to use themes. Now let's get into the real heart of the topic of creating an online discussion group. All right, over here on the left-hand side, you'll see pages. We'll click on that, and that shows our active menu items, everything that shows up in the navigation, and our available menu items, pages that are created but are not part of that navigation. And you can see here that wherever we have that red tag, it says members only. That means that in order to view that, people have to be logged into your site. Now here we have mission and vision as members only. That probably doesn't need to be private, so we'll mark that as public, and that goes away. Now if you're, same with contact us, we probably don't want that to be private. But our members page, our member directory, which we'll look at in a moment, that is always going to be private. You don't want to put your member directory online with all that contact information. That's not a good practice to keep your members secure. All right. Down here, we've got a few other things. You'll see this one. It's a little hard to see probably from where you're looking, but that is got a little dialog box, a thought or a talking bubble. That's for blogs, and we'll look at that in a little bit. And then there's also a calendar page, and then this with persons, a little head there. That's the group page, and that's what we're going to do today. So I click over here on the far top right where it says Add Page, and I'm going to select a group page, and I'll create that. And we're going to call this Reading Romans with Luther Bible Study. All right, so now I have my study group. What does that mean? A great Lutheran question. We'll click on that, and you'll see it now takes me to this different section of the site. It still looks like my site. Still has Light of Christ up there, but it's now got a new navigation in here on the far right, and this is your group navigation, and there's a number of different things you can do here. First off, let me point out that it's still set to draft, so that means that it's not publicly available yet, which is good because it's all blank right now, only has the subject in there. You can have a discussion board, a calendar, and you have a member directory page, and it looks like I have an outdated photo. I should go and update that at some point. Should have tested that beforehand, but that's okay. So just ignore that broken image there. Then we can edit the group and get into manage settings. So we'll look at that first. So let's go, actually, I'm going to go to manage this membership settings because there's fewer things. This is really just an initial startup. So the main things, this is you as a user logged into this group. You can say, send me an email when a member posts a comment, or send me a leader only when the leader makes, or an email only when the leader makes an announcement, or don't email me at all. You can also leave the group if you want. So you as a member of this Bible study can choose how often you're communicating with, which is pretty exciting. All right, we'll get into editing this group because that's where there's a lot of cool things. So first off, Reading Romans with Luther, oops, I should rename that, with Luther, not Lutheran, with Luther, and then I'll put that as Bible study. Now I can add a description for this, and we'll look at that later on. I'm just going to do a short little description that I've already got written out here. And then you can see pages. So within your group, you have some predefined pages, like I mentioned before, discussion, events, members. But you can also add pages. So if we want to put a page in here called Study Notes, we'll add a page within that group. And we're going to check it to make sure it shows up in the navigation. You can see it just appeared on the right-hand side. We'll look at that in a moment. All right, we're going to update this group just so that it gets added to the list of available pages. Go back to edit this group. Here we go. So now group details are visible too. In that section, you can pick and choose who can see what pages. And this gets us into users a little bit. So first you can say no one. This is hidden. And that's only available for discussion and events, the calendar view. You may not want to use that at all, and so you just hide it. You could also set pages to only being available for group leaders, only for group members, only for Unite users, or you can make it a public page. Now, that will depend on the content of the group, what your purposes are, and so that can be as flexible as you need it to be. So we're going to start off with this one. We want the home page to be public to everybody. We want the discussion to only be available to the group members. We want the events page to be available to the users of Unite. And the study notes only to group members. We'll make the member directory available only to the group leaders. That way the members of the group can't see everybody. And then lastly, you can pick who can join this group. And you can say that it is anybody who's logged into the site or only people you've invited, invitation only. Now, people who are in the public cannot join the group. You have to have a login in order to be able to participate in groups. So we're going to say anyone who's logged in. And I'll update the group. All right, that takes me back to the home page. So on the home page, we're going to put a little bit of information about the Bible study. And to do that, we go to the left-hand side and click Edit Page. And now this takes us into edit mode. You can see that dotted line here, where up at the top is your page title, and we can go below and put some more things in there. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to add an image. This is a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. It's very similar to what you might see in Outlook or Word, where you can just type it and it'll create the code for you on the back end. You don't have to know HTML to design a website. Let's add an image first. All right, there's no images currently on that page. So you see that's blank. I'll go ahead and upload, and we'll do this banner. All right, and that's a little bit skewed, so I'm going to double click on it and go to Advanced. And we're just going to do the widths as 100%. And the height we'll do as auto. Click OK. Oops, must be a number. That's right. All right, we're just going to leave that blank. And there we go. That looks a little bit better. All right, so there's Reading Romans with Luther. And let's get some copy on there. Thankfully, I've already got this all typed out, so you guys don't have to watch me type. So step into Luther's commentary on Romans without intimidation. One of our copywriters wrote most of this. It sounds much better than what I would say. So we'll go ahead and select this header. And you can see here that down below we've got styles. This is what we were looking at before on the styles section. And there's that section header that I created with that line. So I can type that or select that, and now I've got that nice line in there. Or if I wanted this to be that blue color, I could then select it and do blue text. So you can apply multiple styles to the same text and make it look how you want. Now, if I went back into styles and changed the blue text to orange, it would change it to orange for me, and I wouldn't have to go back to this page and update it, which saves a lot of time and creates a lot of consistency across your site. So that's all great. Over on the left-hand side, you can see there's different page layouts, and we'll look at that as we get to the home page. But for group pages, generally it's best to just have that single column, because you've already got this column on the right hand with your group navigation. But that's okay. We're going to set this to publish because we now want people to see it. Remember, this page is a public page. So as soon as I publish it, it will be available for the public to see if they have the link, which right now we haven't linked to it. And we didn't put it in our navigation, so no one can see it yet. So it's okay to publish it. URL, we'll just put it as home, and we'll just do the page title as Reading Romans with Luther. Oops. And I can do a page description here. I'm just going to copy this from over here. Probably a bit too long. Now this page title and meta description, that's what shows up in Google when somebody searches for one of those keywords and your page shows up. So it's definitely important to have that. Now because this is a new site, Google hasn't indexed it yet, it probably won't show up because for one, it's a training website, so we don't have a lot of people visiting it. But it's always good practice to put that in there. All right, so we'll save that. The web page is updated. We'll close the edit mode. You can see that draft status is gone. And now here's our Reading Romans with Luther page, which is really great. I'm going to move over here to discussion and show you what that looks like very briefly. It looks like a discussion board, honestly. That's what it is. If you look at blog posts that have options for you to comment, it's very similar to that, although you can categorize your type of comment here. And if it's an announcement, that shows up in red, so you can see it. That's usually the group leader who's doing that. You don't have access to an announcement as a member. We're going to jump down to study notes real quick. That's a custom page that we did. And you can go to the edit page and you have all that same functionality here that you had on the home page. Now we're not going to add things to that today, but I did want to make sure you know that's available. I want to move into members first, and we're going to get into events in a little while. So members allows you to add members to your group, especially if it's an invitation-only group. You have to go in here, otherwise no one will participate. If it's not an invitation-only, then you will want to drive people to it to join. But you can also invite people from here. So if you know that Dave Abbott generally comes to Bible studies, you can go here and say invite him. And it'll send him an email saying, hey Dave, would you like to join my group? You could also just say, you know, I know that Julie Billings wants to be in this group, so I'm just going to add her as a member right now. And you can go ahead and add her to be invited. Now, that just means that she becomes a member of the group so that you can email her when there's people that, oops, I realize I have some notifications showing up. I do apologize for that. I'm going to close my Slack. I thought I'd already done that. There we go. All right, so you can go ahead and include them on the emails if you want to invite them. That often is great at the beginning when you're inviting people to groups that they're already a part of. So like if you have a board of elders as a group on here, well, you don't really need to invite them to join because they're already on the board of elders, so you may just want to add them to the group. So you as the administrator have that choice. So be cautious with it that you don't annoy your people, your members, by inviting them or adding them to every group, but you do have that option. So so there's a few people, but let's go to the higher level users view. Up at the top in your administrative bar, you've got users up there, and that shows everybody that's in your database. And this is where we're going to go to invite Mallory. So Mallory was the person in our story before. We want her to become a member of that Bible study. So first, she has to be invited to use Unite. Now, this is an invitation-only website, meaning somebody off the street can't log in and become a member to your church website, start seeing private information like the member directory. You at the church office are the ones who control who has access to it. Everybody who's a user has to have an email address. So you'll see that in here. If you're using Church360 members or Shepherd staff, and you sync with Unite, those will be pulled in from there. Otherwise, you can add it. So when you click Add People, you get first name, last name, and email address. So you can do that one at a time. You can do it in bulk. You can import a CSV file. And there's details on that in here. We already have Mallory in our system from before, so we just need to invite her. So I'm going to click the checkbox next to Mallory and go down here to change role. Right now she doesn't have a role. We're going to invite her as a user. Now you also have publishers who can edit any page but can't access the administrative tools. You have a designer who can edit each page as well as the theme. So if you have a web designer who's a volunteer to church or maybe on staff, some of the larger churches do, you could just give them that. Administrator gives you access to everything. So you really only want a couple people, maybe only one who's an administrator. But we're going to set Mallory as just a user. We're going to update, and now she has been invited. So you can see that change one role. We can come back here and look for Mallory, and you'll see that she's now a user, invited less than a minute ago, and you can go re-invite her here if she doesn't get the message. Sometimes, depending on email clients, those messages go in the spam folder because they're system generated. So you may want to suggest to Mallory that she look there. All right, once she's been invited, then you can go in and add her as a user to this reading, or a member of the Reading Romans with Luther group. So go in here, and we'll click and search for Mallory. There's Mallory Richards, and we're going to add her as a member. Now you can see that the photo has come across from Church360 members. All her contact information has come across from Church360 members. As you click on her, you can see that information, and you can also go and see what groups she's a member of. And right now, because we just invited her to Unite, because we just invited her to the Roman study, that's the only one she's in. But that's really neat. She can log in here as well and edit her information. You can also edit her information for her if you'd like. And you can see there's all the household information. Household information is only available if you sync with Church360 members or Shepherd staff, but most of these features are available even if you only use Unite. So we'll go back to Mallory. And you can see she can edit her own profile here and update information, and these updates will flow over into the church management software. So let's say Mallory changes her phone number and wants to update it in here. Maybe it goes to 3040. Update that. Now your membership database has been updated. Now you're saying, well, I need to know about these things because we have other things like a printed directory that needs to be updated. You as an administrator can go up to the activity and go to the event log and see exactly what has happened here. So you can see that on January 24th, me, Peter Frank, updated Mallory Richards with a new phone number. That's pretty detailed information. So you can now track that and apply it to the other places. And in Church360 members, it'll show the same thing. And Shepherd staff, it'll let you know what changes are made and you can approve those changes. So a lot of great options there in terms of tracking what changes are there, but still allowing the user to do it on their own. All right, back to our story. We've added users. Let's go to our membership directory just so I can show that off. Under About Us and Members, you can see here is a listing of all the members of the congregation who are in Church360. So there's the Abbott family, there's the Baxter family, Beltons. You can see their pictures are associated with it, their address and phone numbers, email address. This is available to every member who can log in. And even if the person has not signed into Unite, if you're using this as your in conjunction with your church management software, it'll show that online directory. So think about the benefits of doing that. Now, if somebody wants to know what Mallory's phone number is, they don't have to call the church number or the church office to ask. They can go online and look it up. Now, if Mallory doesn't want her phone number showing, she can turn that off. So there's no listed numbers. They default to unlisted. And so Mallory can go in and say, I don't want that to show. Or she can say, yeah, I want people to call me. Go ahead. And you can go over here and say that is listed and her email list, address is listed and update it from there. Now, if Mallory marks hers as unlisted, you as the church administrator can't change it. We want to respect her desire to leave that unlisted. So that adds an additional level of security that you can't even override. And that's just safe for your members. So that's one of the reasons why we do that, is to help protect the integrity of the members' preferences. All right, so we've added a new person. We showed how to update the profile. Let's go back to our group. I haven't put this in the navigation yet, so I still need to go to it through here. So reading Romans with Luther. You can see now members are starting to show up on this side. Let's go to the calendars and go to events. So right now there's nothing on this calendar because we just created this group, but we want to start adding the events for the Bible study. So I'm going to go here and click New Event. And I'm going to call this Reading Romans with Luther. And you can see it's on my Reading Romans with Luther Bible study. And I can also add it to another calendar, like Bible study. So that way I have the specific calendar and the broad calendar that allows the viewers to filter down to find the events they're looking for. So I'll say this is in the fellowship hall. And it's going to start a week from Sunday. And we're going to do it at 9:30 a.m. And it's going to end at 10:30 a.m. And then we're going to repeat. And it's going to repeat every single week on Sunday, starting on February 5th and ending on February 26th, a 4-week study. Now, don't quote me on that for the book. I'm not sure what, how many weeks you can do that in, but for our purposes, we're going to say it's a 4-week study. And then we can copy and paste that text in again, and we can add new copy. But we're just going to recycle this over and over again for these purposes. So you can now invite people to this event. You can only invite your group members, and so you can just say, invite everybody in our group to this. And then you can send reminders, and you can say, all right, send a reminder 1 day before as well as 1 week before. And then they get reminded about the event. And so you're going to increase your opportunity for people to know about the event and to come back to it. All right, so now on our calendar here, February 2017, you can see there are all the details of the event. Now that's all great for the group members. They can go and see when the Bible studies are. But it's even better because it'll add to your church master calendar. All right, so we'll go here and you can see here's all sorts of different calendar events. You've got birthdays on there. We can go in and add worship events. Here's our Reading Romans with Luther Bible study. Everywhere you see that little icon, that means it's a group calendar. So now I can go here to February and see there's my Reading with Romans with Luther Bible study event. Now, each person who's viewing this can say, I don't want to see all of this stuff. This is kind of distracting. Remove birthdays, remove wedding anniversaries, remove the youth group. I really just want to see worship and Bible studies. And now I can. Now you're saying, okay, I don't want anniversaries showing up on my calendar. For one, let me show you how to do it. You can make it so that only members can see that information. And that stuff that's private, that is only going to be visible to users. And see, you can say nobody can see that, or you can say users. You could put everybody. That's not going to default to that. You really don't want to show that too often. Let's go down here to Reading Romans with Luther. See, now you can say that it's, oh, I forgot. See, sometimes I even forget where I'm going here. It said this is required by Reading Romans with Luther Bible study and can be changed in the group settings. So things like the worship calendar can be shown here to only users or to everybody. Group calendars are managed by the group. So as the group leader, you can say, I don't want everybody to see this. Think about boards. You don't want everybody to see everything that's going on the board. So we'll go over here to events. Actually, that goes under edit this group, where you can pick. That was where we were before. Here under group details are visible too. So events are only visible to Unite users. Good. See, there's so many great resources and so much flexibility that I can't even remember it all. But now we have that event on the church calendar, and you as the church administrator can put in what events are visible to the public and which ones are not visible to just the users of Unite. All right, so that's group events. I'm watching my time because I'm at 1:37. I've got about 8 more minutes. That should be enough time. Let's go into pages. So we talked before about how you can edit a page within the group. We're going to create what we call a landing page. That's a marketing term. That's where users will land to learn more about things. So we're going to add a page, and we're going to call it just a blank page and say, Reading Romans with Luther, and just call it that. Now, see, I can use that same name. Oops, once again, I did Luther. You can tell that I have that memorized in my fingers. So there we go, Reading Romans with Luther. And we're going to put that under news for right now. And we're going to publish it and make it public and save changes to that. And now you'll see this. I can X out of here, go to news, and Reading Romans with Luther, or Lutheran. Let me go in and fix that, because it does put what's in there the first time. And now I can go in and change my URL, change my page title. That's why you got to be a little bit more careful than I am when you create it. Otherwise, you'll have to go back. But that's okay. We can go back. And so you've got that same kind of information. Now you could, oops, yeah, now that I changed the URL, when I refresh it, I just have to remember to go and click on that again, because it's trying to reload with the original URL. So now we got Reading Romans with Luther. So I can go in here and add additional details to it and a different message, and this can be something to try to hype up people about it. So I can go in here and go back to that image that I had before and upload that banner. There we go. And I'll just make this 100%. I'm using an extra large image, which probably isn't the best practice for that, but we'll put that there. And then we'll say here, let's add some copy. Put that in there. And let's add another photo of the book. There we go. All right, and that seems to be taking a second. Sometimes with these webinars, it interrupts my internet connection. So that's okay. We'll try that one more time. Doesn't appear to be working. That's okay, I'll save this. Sometimes a quick refresh will reset my connection. There we go. All right, back to this page. Whoops. Went to my PowerPoint presentation, pardon me. Go click on Edit Page. We'll go here, Insert Picture, Upload. There we go. All right, we'll put that in there, and then it'll probably be a little skewed, so once again, we'll go to the 100% and remove the height, and that'll make it fit nicely. And that's also a best practice for mobile design so that it'll adjust with your screen size, doing percentages. So, all right, we'll save that. Now, I do want people to register for the webinar, and so we'll put that in here. One of the nice things about a landing, or not the webinar, register for the Bible study. You can see where my mind's at. You can see here that you have a lot more space with it being a page rather than a group page. So we'll go ahead and I'll put register button in here. Now, I made this button ahead of time, and we'll put that right there, and then I'll link that using this tool here, which is linked, and to a page or feed within my site. And we'll go to the group Reading Romans with Luther Bible Study. And we'll save that there. So that's a pretty nice looking page, if I do say so myself. It gives people information about the Bible study, a nice big image, and when they click register, now it takes them over to this page and they can learn more, and they can go to the events and sign up from there too. Now, that was one of the things I did want to show. Under the events page, oops, we were in February. When you are on this events page, you can click and say, I'm going. And so you may want to send people to that page rather than the groups page. So you can mark, I'm going to that, and then you can change your reminder settings. So that's probably a better call. Should have thought of that ahead of time. It would have been a smoother presentation. But I copied the URL for that exact event. Not all of your events will show up on your drop-downs for a page or feed within the site. So it's only pages or feeds, not events, but we can paste that in here and click OK. There we go, and save. Now people can go in and click register, and it'll take them to that event. See? Pretty easy. All right, so I'm getting myself doubled up because I'm logged in. That happens sometimes. Let's go to the home page. The next step in our process is to bring attention to this. So this is a great place to link to emails, link to social. Your landing page is kind of like your main presence for that Bible study. And so you'll see that we do that with things like our webinars. It's a marketing tactic, true, but it works. It gives people a place where they can go and get all the information before they really commit to joining a group or something like that. So we're going to go to the home page, and I want to show this kind of page setting. So right now we have one big banner and 3 small banners. Now I can go in here, and for the interest of time, I'm only going to replace one. But you'll see in the layouts, if I wanted to do a double layout or one side wider, and this we have a big thing across the top and 3 small columns below that. And that's a pretty standard approach. So go in here, and I've got a new image that I can upload. Romans header, there we go. And I'm going to go back in and I'm going to do my 100%. We always default it to the size of the image. It says best practice is you design it to the exact size you need. Alright, so there's my nice big banner for the book of Romans, which fits nicely with that color scheme. We're going to go ahead and link this to our landing page. A page or feed within the site, and it's this one here, Reading Romans with Luther. Click OK. That is opposed to the group page that we looked at before. So now this is the page that your visitors will see when they come in, and when they click on it, you can go directly to that landing page. They can learn more about it. Now they can register, go to your event page, and you've got it there. All right, so I'm going to refresh that. Now, I have had some questions about how do you create such nice banners. So I'm not a web designer, I'm not a graphic designer. What I do is I use a tool called Canva, C-A-N-V-A, canva.com. It's a great image building tool, and there's some stock photos that you can purchase in there. You can upload your own images. If you're looking for stock photos, you can go to lightstock.com. That's where I get a lot of mine. I don't want anybody thinking that I created all of these and that you can't do the same because I have some extra skills or something like that. That's not the case. I just use the tools that are available and make it look a little bit nicer that way. All right, the next thing, we're right at a quarter till. I only see one example, or one question right now about examples, so we'll get to that later on. Okay, so let's go here to announcements. So feeds are the next thing. Now, a feed is essentially a blog. It's a syndicated content, if you will, RSS feeds. You may have heard that before. That's what we have as feeds, and they're great for posting things like announcements, or if the pastor wants to have a blog where he shares the sermons. Today, we're just going to add a post about this webinar. I said that again, about this Bible study. So we're going to go click Edit Page, and it says New Post. So I can put in here, Reading Romans with Luther. Oops. This is why I type out most of the copy ahead of time. And I'm going to put New Bible Study. I put in bold as if I'm shouting just to draw people's eye to it. All right, New Bible Study, and then we're going to go ahead and put in this information one more time. And I'm going to add that button again. Now I can go in here and say, show me my other assets that I've uploaded elsewhere. I don't need to upload the button again. So here's my register button. And I'll go ahead and click on that. Oops. And then I can link to something here. So register for the interest of time, and then go ahead and just do it to that group page. And so now you can see I still have the URL, the title, and meta description. All of that is available there. So I click Save. Oops. Oh, I didn't actually save the post. I saved the blog settings. Well, that's frustrating. That was my fault. I was supposed to click Create. I never actually finished that up. So we'll go ahead and do that one more time. You'll get a quick, another preview. So New Bible Study. Reading Romans with Luther. Type that right this time. We'll go back here, add my image in one more time. Thanks for your patience. All right, click on Register, link that to a page or feed within the site, and we'll do Reading Romans with Luther. There we go. Now I hit Create, and that's been added, and it saves it as a draft for right now. That way you can see what it looks like before. So I'm going to drop that down a little bit because that's a bit too much. I want to get a little different color as well. You can change the publish date, so let's say you want to backdate that. You can put it in there, and you can pick which feed. In this case, it's announcements. So we'll hit Save, and there's our blog post. Now, I didn't add any images. I could do that as well, but that drives people right back to the group. And the last thing I want to cover today are mailing lists. So how do you email people? Now, if you're a member of the group, you can get those automatic updates. You can also email everybody in the group by going to Members. This is for group leaders or administrators only. And you can say Email All. Now what this is going to do, it's going to take a second because I have my Outlook closed, but it's going to open the default email client and use what we call an email relay program. Now I do apologize, it's going to be a little bit small on your screen because of my resolution. I can't zoom this one in. But if you see here, Reading Romans with Luther Bible Study is the name of the list, but the email itself is this weird mix of numbers and letters. It's called a GUID, and it's a unique value for those 4 people there. And then it says relay.360unite.com. So when you send it from your email, it relays it to the servers and sends it out one at a time to each of the individual people within that group. So that's why we call it email relay. So you can send it to as many people as you want. I'm not going to save my changes right now, but I'm going to show you up here under Users, you've got mailing lists. And so you can create these lists of people. And so a new mailing list, let's say Bible studies. Maybe it's just a broad email list. And you say the people that I want to include in Bible studies are anybody who signed up for the Luther Bible study, anybody who signed up to our election Bible study, call to vote, or just in the Bible study group. And we want to make sure to include who else we got there? Tom Wilson and Andrew Osborne, Dave Abbott. You can do people as well. So you can create this collection of recipients, and then you can go and email them in mass. Oops, look at that. We'll select that and go email, and it will open up my email client again. And so you as the administrator can store all of your email lists in here. You don't have to go into each individual group. And so you can see that on the screen. And I named that my Bible studies list. But now I can save this email, and that I can plug that into my contacts list for someone. It'll send to that same group of people every time. Now, there are a few caveats to this. It's not like a MailChimp where you get all the analytics behind this. This is for quick emails that you want to send to a select group of people. It's not for the well-designed graphic-based emails. It's going to be your default email client, whether that's Outlook or Gmail or something else like that. So that is the email relay, and that certainly takes us close to our time. We're at 1:51. So I see I've got one question in there still. If you've got more questions, please submit them now. But I'm going to go back up here real quick. So we already started that. In case people need to go, I do want to be respectful of your time before I get into questions. I want to encourage you, if you haven't already, to please start a free 30-day trial at 360unite.com. And if you decide that you would like to purchase sooner rather than later, if you order by February 28th, we'll waive the $199 startup fee. And that's a really good deal, especially if you're looking at multiple Church360 products. There's the startup fee for each, which covers all of our onboarding and initial training, initial setup of the sites and everything. But we'll waive that between now and February. And so it's a great time to get started. So while I look at the question and read it in a bit more in-depth detail, you can see my contact information is on the screen there. Now let me go ahead and see. Jim's asking, do you provide us with a list of sites that are using the product so we can see some different examples from real-life users? I don't have those off the top of my head that I can provide right now, but I'll ask your software consultant based in your territory. They'll look for some around your area that they'll want to send. But what I can share with you is some of our demo sites. And these are completely without modifications. So 360unite.com/themes. And that'll show you some of the different options. So these are what you can make your site look like. Now the images, some of them are custom created, but the site itself, colors and everything that goes along with it are all part of the theme. So like here is one of our newest ones, Cross. Our Cross theme. And you can see that this image comes from part of the theme. There's a number of different ones. I just added a logo here. And I added these. I created these using Canva, like I described before, and some stock photography. And so you can see it's got a nice sticky navigation where it stays at the top, and you can have the menu and the search. That's a great one. One of my other favorite ones is Light. This is also a newer one. It's got that navigation at the top. It's not sticky, but you can see that it has that kind of fade through where you can, it's a little bit of transparency. So that's a nice one. We've got some nice background choices to select from that. One of our longer and most popular ones that we've had is our ribbon theme. And so this one has really stood the test of time. And you can see how this one has some nice bold blue colors, but it's really straightforward with the navigation at the top. And it's got that side paneling on there. So a lot of great options for you to choose from. Jim, I'll ask your consultant to reach out to you and provide some examples, preferably within your geographic territory. That way you can maybe see some of your neighbor churches who might have it. All right, Laura, you had the question, if we have a website now, can we keep the same address? And that's a very good question. Yes, you can. We'll work with you to transfer that over. So now that I have access to a few other ones, I do need to sign back in. We have security on here, so you can't have too many open at one time. So let me just go ahead and log in real quick. So in the settings area up here where there's domain, there's instructions so that if you currently manage your domain, you can set it up to point to your new site right now. So you can keep that same exact address, just point to the new site. If you want us to manage your domain, and that is included with a couple of our plans, we can work with you to transfer it over. And so that's going to be working with your current provider to make it available and then transfer it to us, and we'll receive it and have it point to your Unite site. That can be a little bit complicated for the beginning users, and so that's why we help out with that. But you can certainly do it on your own. And that way you can keep that history there so that you can see your past activity if you're using some of Google Analytics. Your members don't have to learn a new site address. So yes, you can absolutely transfer that over. We'd be happy to help with that process. All right, I have just a couple moments left, but no more questions. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Let me go back to the contact information. Once again, thank you for attending. If you have any further questions about this, you can reach out to me at peter.frank@cph.org. I hope this was helpful. I know I didn't follow the story exactly in terms of getting Mallory Richards integrated, but you saw that whole process of creating a campaign around one single topic, in this case, a Bible study about Romans. So if you have other ideas that you'd like me to cover in future webinars, go ahead and shoot me a note. If you have specific questions, I'm happy to respond back to you with those questions. You will be receiving this recording from me later on today, so be sure to watch for an email. If it's not today, it'll be early tomorrow morning. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you very much. Have a great day.